Hello, world. Welcome to Comic Book News. I'm your old pal, Dan Shaheen. Today, we're taking you to Steeltown. Yeah, you know, Sixburg, Blitzburg, the old neighborhood of make-believe. We're taking you to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where I was born. And that's where a lot of great comics have been born. There's a lot of cartoonists out of Steeltown. And we're going to talk to a couple of them today, a couple of creators of comics that are doing their best to get out on the indie scene. We've got some incredible stuff. We're going to talk to Heroineburgh, who I don't know any other name but Heroineburgh. We could call him H-Berg or HB, but that's all I know. He's a man of mystery. A little less mysterious, but no less ambitious or talented. We're going to talk to Marvin Wynn. He's got a comic, The Edge, coming out from Second Sight Comics, and we'll look at both of these comics in the $1 Million Comics cam, of course. But first, we got to go somewhere a little more appropriate to look at comics. I don't think we're looking for at the Fantagraphics bookshelf. Instead, let's go behind the scenes, shall we? Let's go check out
the Bat Pulse.
Oh, yeah, we're in the neighborhood of make-believe. And we're going to talk to Marvin and HB in just a second. But first, I want to thank you. If you're a subscriber, hey, thanks. If you're not, there's a button down there. It says subscribe. Consider clicking on it. If you do that, you're more likely to see videos that I've made. You might go and check out some of the other interviews we've done recently. I've talked to, man, so many people throughout the industry. Last week, we were supposed to talk to who? Ethan Van Sciver, our follow-up conversation, known her pedophile, look it up, and Philip Seymour Hoffman impersonator Ethan Van Sciver was scheduled to come in here, but he backed out at the last minute and has sort of been out of touch with me since. Ethan, you reached out to me to be on the show twice. If you really want to follow up and do the follow-up interview, I'm ready. You know where to find me. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for considering clicking on that join button down there. Who do we got next week? You know, I think we're probably going to do another $1 Million mailbox. I'm going to bring Larry Young back in here, but I'm also working on some guests I haven't quite scheduled yet. And I don't want to announce them because I've dropped some names in the recent past of people that I was going to interview and talk to that, have not come through and have not been able to connect and make the schedule happen. So I apologize for that. I'm not going to blame them. They're busy people. It's just rough to pull off these interviews. So I know I can get a hold of Larry, and I know I got a huge stack of comics in the $1 Million mailbox. So we'll look at those coming up real soon. So without further ado, I want to bring in to the neighborhood of make-believe. Let's bring in Marvin Wynn and Heroineburgh. Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Hello. Greetings from the hometown of Killer Frost. Marhaba.
Oh, man, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Guys, I've read both your books. I've reviewed both your books. We've seen them before. So I really thought it would be fun to bring you both in, talk about Pittsburgh a little. You know, I originally had a thumbnail here. You know, I wanted to go rah Steelers, and HB reached out to me. He's like, Dan, great, Steelers, yeah, but Pittsburgh is a lot more than that, right? So, and I agree. I could not agree more. So we're gonna play a game that we originally played with another Pittsburgh cartoonist, Jim Rugg. We're gonna play it today. We'll play Spot the Shoehorn. But I'm going to challenge myself not to. It's going to be all Pittsburgh references. And if you spot it, just Marvin, just put your hand up in the air if you spot me shoehorning in a Pittsburgh reference. Like if I just happen to mention that we're Pittsburgh is better, otherwise known as the Paris of Appalachia,
Definitely.
then you might realize that I'm sucking up to the both of you, right? Woo! And I'm really just trying to get into the Pittsburgh.
I'll go woo.
Okay. I've jabbered enough. Let's start with Marvin. Marvin, why don't you tell me a little bit about your comic, The Edge, and how you got into publishing comics and what it's all about?
Sure. So let's do The Edge first, and then we'll do the backwards troll. So the basis of The Edge is that we have a drug called the Edge, of course, that grants powers, but as you use those powers, it drains your energy and turns you into a husk, and you die. Our lead, I guess we'll say anti-hero or anti-villain or villain is Revenant, who was a former assassin for the government, who decided he didn't want to work for the government anymore, so he goes rogue with the secrets of the Edge. So his former handler, Tartable, forms a strike team to go after him, and things just fall apart from there. We have a group of people who they have no control over their powers. Powers cut on, they cut off, cut on whenever they're stressed or in a situations where it's not applicable for them to be able to deal with the powers. Revenant is an escape artist. He always has the upper hand in any situation, so that's harder to take him down. And things just escalate and escalate from there as we go further into the story.
Okay, great. Well, we'll take a look at that pretty soon in the $1 Million Comics Cam. But HB, why don't you hip us to what's going on with Heroineburgh? Because I've talked about it on the show, and I always kind of mischaracterize it as like a cosplay troupe. Tell me what is, because Heroineburgh is a high concept. It's not just a concept comic. Tell us what is it, Heroineburgh?
Sure, you could call it an IP, I guess, if you want to use, financial term. Heroineburgh is a fantastical universe of lady heroes and villainesses who exist in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you want to draw a parallel, you could say it's like FemForce, except in Pittsburgh instead of Orlando. So it started out as a live-action video series, which has been running for 4 years, and we're just about to put out our 19th episode in a couple weeks on our website. People download them from our website from all over the world, which is nice of them. And then a couple years back, we turned it into a comic book as well. And we're alternating between putting out comic issues and videos back and forth. The comic book is orderable also from our website. We only offer physical, no digital. And we also have stocked it in over 130 stores. Today, I'd like to officially announce we're going to be in Dewey's, which is the Kubert School store. Yay! It took us 3 months of pestering to get there, but finally we got through to Anthony Marks, and we're in, which is great because the art you see in my avatar is Jason Wright, who is a Kubert School graduate. He is the most prolific comic artist who currently lives in Pittsburgh right now with, about 650 credits. So now we have the Kubert grad in the Kubert store. But in any case, almost 130 stores across the continent carry the book physically. We love to support LCS. And even Yep.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say,
Miracle of miracles.
Right.
I went into my local comic book store last week, and I go, Heroineburgh is on the shelf in Eureka, California.
North Coast Role Playing. All hail to the owner there. A very nice gentleman. Yeah.
Barry Osser.
Yes. Barry Osser. Good, great guy. And in the extent that you might call it an IP, in that, sure, it can be in any medium. I mean, for 6 months, we were a comic strip in our local alt weekly until that shut down. We have some kids in the suburbs working on a game right now for us, a board game. So could be many things, but right now it's a video series and a comic book. Yeah.
Awesome. I think the comic strip incarnation is maybe one of my favorites. Like, it's in the comic, right? That's the part that's sort of the last half of
Well,
issue
yeah,
two?
the paper went down. It's now only digital paper, so all of their boxes are all over the city, forlorn and empty. It's crazy, but yeah. So we reprinted that 6 month stint of strips in the back of issue number 2. Yeah.
I loved it. Great art, and kind of a fun, different format. I like seeing those playing with the different formats for
All Pittsburgh artists. Yeah, our 2 interior artists are Benjamin Zeus Barnett, who is a local boy. He's pretty much cut his teeth on our series, getting better as he goes. And the other guy is Wayne Brown. The other book he works on very steadily is called Like Father, Like Daughter, put out by Kat Kalamia from New York. She has a YouTube channel called Comic Uno. She's been around a while. And that's kind of like, what is Wayne's book like? Kind of like a cross between Stargirl and Invincible, I would say.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what? Why I don't know why we're talking about your guys' books when we could be looking at your books.
Oh,
you know where we do that here? You know where we look at books here?
cha-ching.
Do you know what it's called? I'm waiting someday somebody's going to know what it's called and they're going to be excited to take a look at the $1 Million Comics Cam. All right. I'll get that dream someday, fellas. I've got a dream like young Jonas Salk had a dream. He had a dream and he created the polio vaccine. You know where he did that, guys?
At the University of Pittsburgh, alma mater of Firestorm.
Oh, hey, I didn't know that. Awesome comic book connection. I'll bet you didn't know that before his death, he was actually working on another vaccine, the water polo vaccine. But too many horses drowned in the development of that vaccine, and it never came to fruition. Okay. Okie dokie.
Marco.
So let's sorry folks. Let's take a look at your comics today. Let's start with Heroineburgh first, because I'm sorry, I'm this $1 Million Studio is in disarray, so I could only find issue number 2. I've got an issue number 1 here somewhere, but not here for the camera.
Okay, might as well stay current.
Yeah, let's look at the new stuff. So I really thought this was a step up from issue number 1.
Thank you. Yeah, that's Ben Barnett's art on the first story. Benjamin Zeus Barnett, excuse me.
I feel like you leveled up in production values as well as in the storytelling.
Good.
Definitely enjoyed it. I think Pittsburgh seems like a rough place. It's not the place I remember.
Well, I mean, these ladies come from all the different neighborhoods. So these particular 2, Panthyra and Savannah, come from Homewood, and it's somewhat rough there, but there's a lot of good stuff going on there as well.
Okay. It's a rough burg, I understand. I hear stuff. I heard some stories.
But then, then there's evil oil baronesses at the top of the former, what used to be the Steel Building. I don't know what it's called now, UPMC or so. It's called the Steel Tower, I guess. Yeah. And battles
US
downtown
Steel.
against flying robots. Like as you would, right, in straight out of Inspector Gadget, kind of. Which was filmed.
Really love the color palette. Oh, Inspector Gadget, the Matthew Broderick.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you see the building in the background there? That's the PPG Plaza building. That's all over that movie, right, Marvin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. These ladies are all in very good shape.
Yes.
Could it be from climbing the more than 700 sets of public stairs administered by the Inspector of Stairs in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
Exactly. All those steps, man. City steps everywhere.
Okay.
Many of them are streets. I mean, they have street signs on them. They're parts of streets.
I believe the steepest street in residential street in America is there in Pittsburgh.
Rialto, yes, Rialto Street, yes. Oh, and if you turn back one thing, you see the Cathedral of Learning from University of Pittsburgh on the left there. The world's.
Oh, you mean the second tallest building in the United States?
No, not even close. But it's the world's. It's the either the first or second tallest academic building in the world.
Oh, okay. I got my trivia wrong. I thought it was. Yeah. I was impressed.
I'm not sure if it's the tallest academic building, but it's at least the first or second tallest. Yeah.
It's the second tallest something. That's all I got in my notes.
Well, it's the only building in the city that they pump in bat sounds to keep the birds away.
Oh, cool. Because it's too high. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
True facts.
And well, and wasn't Pittsburgh used a lot in Batman, one of the Batman
Dark Knight
movies.
Dark Knight Rises. Yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
They
Speaking
filmed
of
some of the
using
battles.
bat sounds. Speaking of using bat sounds I love it.
Yeah, I have friends who worked on that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I really liked the foray into the comic strip format here for Heroineburgh.
Allows us to tell some short stories. So in the back there, you can see Vendetta, the Italian heroine. She is standing in front of the entrance to Bloomfield, the Italian neighborhood of Pittsburgh, which is kind of now part of the hipster zone, I guess.
Okay. Cool. Vendetta, great name. I think when I was a kid in playing the Marvel Heroes role-playing game, I had a character named Vendetta, I believe. Loved it. And this really is a striking cover.
Jason Wright.
This is a true talent. This guy, I'm not familiar with his work for sure, but you say he's been published in a lot of mainstream places as well. And I think,
yeah, he's a colorist for DC mainly. I mean, he's done some Marvel and Valiant stuff over the years, but he's mainly a colorist for DC. So he recently did the Metal Men series, the maxi series that Dan DiDio wrote.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dan DiDio was on the show and talked about him and called him out in particular. I forgot
exactly. Yeah, we did that on purpose there. And he before that he was on Green Lantern Rebirth for a couple years. He also did Cassandra Cain Batgirl. He did Gail Simone's Secret Six, and he just goes back all the way to '96 as far as his credits. And at this point, he has about 660 credits. If you look on IMDb, Comic Book DB is gone, unfortunately. So only place to look for stuff like that is Comic Vine, and you'll find he has over 660 credits on Comic Vine. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Now I'm going to say great hand feel to this comic. If I saw this in a shop and picked it up, it would fit right in there with any other 4-color comic on the stands. One thing missing.
Right.
What do you think I'm going to say?
The price?
The price. Yeah. What's going on?
Well, that allows us to, make it appropriate for various situations. I've had a couple stores wonder about that, but they got price tag guns, so it's not a problem. We just with a store, we wholesale it and give them 50-50. So it's up to them if they want to charge, $6 or $7 for it or whatever. But it also allows us to sell them for $5 at cons, right? So
I got it. Nothing. I'm just as a former retailer,
right.
You want to find things that make it easier and that I have to handle less and have to do less things too.
That's true.
I don't think it's that huge of a deal. And considering that $3.99 is a pretty standard comic price, I wouldn't call it a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, we couldn't really sell it at $3.99, but we can sell them at $5.
I got you.
Sure.
I got you. Great. Well, it's a great looking package. When are we going to see Heroineburgh number 3?
In the fall.
Cool.
The next thing coming out is actually coming out in 2 weeks. Episode 19, the live action episode, is going to be launched in 2 weeks on our website. So after that is done, Ben and Wayne will concentrate on the interior stories for the fall, and we'll be, in the meantime, all summer we'll be filming episode 20. So
awesome. Now you're not on YouTube or you're strictly on your website?
We're definitely on YouTube.
Gotcha.
Our full episodes are pay downloads, like ordering a full-length comic book that's live action, right? Like buying an episode of Black Scorpion, whatever. On YouTube we have hundreds and hundreds of clips, outtakes, character intros, trailers, and we also have a very nice series that Marvin and I work on called Comicsburgh, which is interviews with local creators and store owners, especially the ones
great.
So there's a lot of content on YouTube for people to check out. It's just the channel's just called Heroineburgh, And if it helps you choose which characters you like, even better, because then, you'll gravitate towards certain episodes, or, maybe even send a fan letter.
Okay. Now, and I appreciate you sent me Heroineburgh 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll send me 3. I'll give it a shout out
Of
for
course.
sure.
Yeah.
But you sent me that, but wait a minute, Marvin stepped it up. Marvin's like, wait a minute, hold my beer for a second here.
Yes.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this promo kit that I was sent for the Edge. Speaking of Edge, we've got an edge-to-edge widescreen Edge poster here.
Shades of George Perez, man.
Which is fun to look at. I'm really enjoying it right here. Marvin, tell us a little bit about the promo stuff that we're looking at here.
So this was a trifold cover, and this was when I sent it to Mark Louis, the artist. We were talking about it. We were looking at that X-Men 1 cover, the flip-out one with Magneto and all the characters coming at Magneto. And I said, let's do something like that. And this is what he sent to me. So This shows the team facing off against Revenant. And one of Revenant's abilities is that he can clone himself from a single drop of blood. So the more he bleeds, the more clones there are. So that pretty much makes him a one-man army, where they would just drop him behind enemy lines with a grenade or a knife and tell him to go out and do his thing. Which probably led to a lot of his insanity and madness, and why he's probably on the run now is because of the things they were doing to him.
Okay. You also sent these cool postcards that show kind of the cast of the Edge.
Yeah. So on the postcards, we've got the main team in the middle there. And then we've got Chaos, and we call the team the Reign. So it's the Reign of Chaos is the name of the team. And then on the other side, we have the other kind of like, they're like a specialist team called Standard Issue. I'm not going to really reveal a lot about them right now because it's a spoiler. They don't show up until issue 10. So just be anticipating a new team entering the fray in issue 10.
Well, issue 10. When's issue 10 on the schedule for? What are we talking about here? How many you got in the can so far, Marvin?
15.
You've got 15 done?
Yes.
In the can, done 15 issues. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
So we're not going to wait a year or 5 years or whatever for this thing. You're going to be shipping on time.
Right. So we've got 15 issues of the main book, and then we have 3 one-shots almost complete.
Okay. Now, speaking of the book, we've got some more cool promo stuff. We've only scratched the tip of the promo iceberg, folks, here.
That's a nice
but let's look at this, because this is like a variant wraparound, or no, not wraparound, but a logo-less.
Yeah, the virgin covers would be we call them.
Okay. And now I apologize. I apologized to you before because I thought this was the same issue that you had sent me before that I reviewed, but with a different cover, because it is partially. Why don't you tell us? So I looked at this and I said, oh, I read this and reviewed it already, and didn't realize until just before the show, as I'm flipping through it, that, oh, this is a lot more pages and a lot more story than I reviewed in the previous issue. Sure.
So this was kind of a COVID related thing. So it was about 4 years ago. We had decided to redo issue 1 because we were going to re-release the trade that we had out. So back in March, we were getting ready to release issue 10. And we were going to have a release party at one of the local shops here in Pittsburgh, New Dimension.
Woo!
And then COVID came along and we had to cancel that, which pushed me in a position of how I'm going to release this book. Most of the stores are closed. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. Is it a good time to even release a book right now and have it even make a dent into anything that we're trying to push forward? So while that was going on, I found out about Second Sight, and I ended up talking with Spike Gerald. He's their submissions guy. And I was saying that, we're on the hook with this book, and I don't know what to do. So he says, why don't you submit and we'll just go from there. So I submitted. They accepted the book. And we had this book sitting on the sidelines. So we said that, all right, we're not releasing anything for a while now. Let's get this finished, get it off to Luis Delgado to do the colors, get it to James to do the letters, and let's just release, since we're re-releasing through a new publisher, let's just get a new book out. And the feedback from the stores, especially since we were in Diamond, was amazing. We sold out. We're getting ready to do our second print. And this is also going to follow up with issue 2 in previews, the next previews coming up for release in July.
I gotta say, I like it. Like, just flipping through the pages that I haven't seen before. I can't speak for what's going on in the story per se, but I like the look of it. I feel like it flows, it is coherent, and has a, you know, page to page reads on model, and the coloring looks really nice.
Right, well, Mark does a really good job with the flow and with the story. So I mean, it's like we're on this rapport right now where I can just give him just a little bit of something and he turns it into something amazing. And as I tell people, like, in the time that we're working together, and we're going to be finishing up 18 issues of this working together, we've only had to make one change, and that was Blaine's hair. We had to drop the long hair and go with the anime point.
Well, speaking of anime, it seems like it's, you know, somewhat manga or anime influenced. Do you want to talk about your influences and where you're, you know, what did you like drawing, and what drew you to draw this?
Well, I mean, I wrote it. Mark is the artist, so I give him all the credit for everything he's done. But I mean, it's the 90s. And people say that jumps right out. Like the one person said, that's straight G.I. Joe in that first page.
Totally, absolutely.
And that's what our influences is. Macross and G.I. Joe and X-Men, Wildcat, Stormwatch, all those things that were exciting for us, and lends it to something like this, which is something new, where we're not just saying that this person who has these amazing gifts, I don't consider these powers as a muscle memory, something that you can train yourself to control. So it's something that's out of control for them. So there's the one character, and I'll wait till you get to those few pages to talk about her, but is the interim character, where she has the ability to open portals that allow her to see a few seconds into the future, but also she can step through them and have other people step through them. So you see in that page that she's fighting these guys, and as she's kicking the shit out of them, the panels move in the direction they're moving on the page before. You see how the panels are moving in the way she's knocking them around. So what happens with these portals is that she's been opening these things since she was 6. And she hasn't closed them. So what we say is that it's a door that's open on both sides.
Oh, okay.
And what it starts to do is it starts to affect normal flow of time. So where she's from, it's 12 hours ahead of the rest of the world. So you'll be walking towards her home, and it goes from day to night, or night to day.
So what I like about this, and what our commenter Chud Babies commented on, I like how many costumes and characters there are, and this is what gives it a feel of, I look at this and I go like Ninja High School, you know what I mean, or like a richness to it, where you look and you go, each one of these guys has sort of a unique look, and maybe a set of powers, and maybe a something, and a backstory that's all implied in just sort of like a fun group picture like that.
Right. And I mean, we've in that time that we probably have a roster of probably around 30 characters right now. And since last year, since we weren't releasing anything, we just were brainstorming, and we've come up with all these different kind of characters and how they interact with each other and how they interact with the world. And we show this edge. It's not a good thing for them, because eventually they're going to expire. So we actually have a character who has phasing power similar to Kitty Pryde, but when he walked through a wall, his power's turned off, so he got stuck in the wall, and he ended up having to get his leg amputated because they couldn't free him.
What's this guy's name?
That's Blaine,
right? And so is that this guy?
Yes.
All right, nice. So you made the brilliant move. I'm a sucker for stickers, Marvin.
Chibis.
And nothing gets me more better than a die cut sticker.
Yeah.
All right. So you got die cut here without any words or anything, just like a pure little bit of fun. And then you multiplied it because you sent me a little stack of them. So,
right. And you see that we had to cut. We had to do the hair thing and do that anime point on the hair. And we actually Mark and I talked about it, and we're going to talk about it again. We're going to explain why his hair stays like that and never gets mussed. All the other characters' hair gets mushed in the story, and his doesn't.
All right. Well, I love these, and these are soon to be everywhere in my house because I'm going to give a couple to my my two adorable daughters.
Awesome.
Let's keep this guy here, right here, as like our logo right there. And now let's look at this one last bit of swag. Marvin, because you're like, all right, whatever, guys. 2-dimensional, that's whatever. That's last century. Let's get 3D with this thing. So I'm really excited to say that this is going to be our first ever unboxing video, right? That's the rage on YouTube is unboxing. So let's open a box.
So the thing with the Mystic character is you notice that symbol on his sword there. That's going to pop up everywhere in the book, and there's going to be 6 more of those, 6 more symbols that are going to pop up everywhere as we dig deeper into this hole and find out what those things mean too.
Okay, great. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to find inside what, just a regular old piece of styrofoam. No, I'm going to find die cut. What kind of foam is it?
That's that die cut styrofoam, that fun stuff. You can play with that. You can it won't choke you.
Love it. Okay, so wait a minute. So there's 2. Oh, and die cut in this shape. What is going on here? Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Oh, I messed this up. This is live, folks. This is live, exciting live unboxing. Woo. As you like it. So let's see if we can get this guy up and running live while you tell us about.
Oh, he's got a base to stand
what we're looking at.
Yeah. So back about, was it 3 years ago, I stumbled upon a manufacturer that was making statues, and it was like, so let's do a whole run. So we started off with the Mystic figure, and right after the Mystic figure was complete, the company decided that they were only going to start doing license things now. So we're right now in the stead of trying to find a new manufacturer for our statues and maybe action figures.
Okay.
So
we've got another piece on here too. This is a high quality affair, my friend. It's really nice.
Yeah. So some of them, the base was a little thin or a little wider for the foot peg. So you might need to put some glue in the foot peg to get them to stick in there.
Let me see. I don't know. I think we were okay. Yeah, man.
It's a little loose.
We're rocking. It's fine. I can't hold it backwards probably, but maybe. There we go. Love it.
So the one thing we like about the way the costumes are done is that they're practical and impractical. So you see this guy, he's wearing half a suit of armor. He's got his arms armored up. He's a swordsman. Is this effective for him? And we find out that it's probably not. So there's a lot of things that we played with going along to see, does this work? Somewhat it doesn't. And maybe in the future, if you can see on the other card that those things are going to change. Yeah, you're going to have to do it.
It's all right.
So yeah,
I'll have it standing up a place of honor here on my desk or inside the $1 Million Comics cam.
So it's a lot of fun just doing this stuff, and that's what we want to bring to not just the indie comics, but just comics as a whole, and make sure that we have comics out there that are fun, exciting, and bringing that adventure back from the stuff from the 90s that I loved.
Yeah, me too. Are you a fan of martial law?
Yes.
That's probably my favorite from the 90s. Yeah.
And don't be embarrassed because we got pouches. We got plenty of pouches Revenant
pouches aplenty.
Yeah, Revenant is the king of all the pouches.
Okay, so I like it because when I looked at this stuff, I see the influences that you're talking about, and you're not trying to shy away from them. You're trying to embrace those influences of those comics that you loved in the 90s. And I love that.
Yeah. And we're turning it into something that's we feel is something somewhat unique into itself, that we've got this thing, the Edge. We're treating it like it's a drug, it's an infection, and that it's not going to be a good thing for anyone. And what ends up happening later on is that someone's going to mass produce it, and then it's going to be a bad for the entire world. Then,
you know, I got one other Pittsburgh trivia for you, HB and Marvin.
Sure, we got to go back to the '80s too in a minute.
We're going, well, speaking of the 80s, in 1980, Carnegie Mellon University gave birth Mr. Scott Fahlman. Are you familiar with the work of Dr. Scott Fahlman?
Not at all. And I went to Carnegie Mellon. Sorry?
He invented the emoticon in 1980.
Oh, well, there's a lot of high-tech inventions. Are you familiar with Louise von Ahn?
Why no, I'm not.
Well, he runs a company in Pittsburgh called Duolingo, but he was also at Carnegie Mellon, and he invented CAPTCHA.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I remember they used to say that on like CAPTCHA was like invented at CMU or something like that. Right?
Sure. I mean, Carnegie Mellon's super high tech, and we don't shy away from many of our heroines are STEM related, and some of them come straight out of CMU or Pitt. You know.
Yeah, fantastic. I
mean,
wanted to,
you know, if you're going to have powers involving computers or magnetics or biology, you probably should have a degree in it first.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say Benino Numine to both of you today. Here's the Pitt family coat of arms that I found very fascinating in my research into Pittsburgh. I think my favorite Pittsburgh invention, though, I mean, those high-tech ones are they're great. But what about the Big Mac? Didn't realize the Big Mac was invented at a Pittsburgh franchisee of McDonald's. You know, they would let them kind of freestyle a little bit on things, and the Big Mac came straight out of Pittsburgh.
And the banana split.
Oh my gosh, what hasn't Pittsburgh given us, folks? I mean, besides, not to mention this show, because Pittsburgh gave the world Dan Sheen too. So sorry. Okay.
Do you remember what neighborhood you were born in? Just curious.
Well, I think my parents. We moved out when I was 1, and I believe we grew up in Swissvale.
Okay. Yeah, that's the East End. Yeah.
I don't know anything about it other than
it's Wilkinsburg.
Swissvale.
Okay, I don't know anything other than that we don't live there anymore, and we've never gone back either. I do remember my dad saying something like in 1960, whatever, he could buy a house there. He bought a house in Pittsburgh, like 2 stories with a basement for $5,000.
Yep.
Which is just kind of mind blowing. Like those are the kind of numbers you think of, like that was my great grandpa, and you know,
that's
whatever.
It's not like that anymore. Pittsburgh is now mini New York.
No, there's still plenty of areas in the city where you can get houses for like 80, 90, what you just described.
Yeah, but yeah, we don't want to live.
No, well, you know, it depends.
Not yet, Marvin, not yet. That's always the way it works, though.
Yes.
So tell us about that. I know a lot of people. Actually, I know in my other world as a high tech dude, plenty of people living in Pittsburgh. It's like the medical technology center of.
So the steel industry. After the steel industry collapsed, we went to Eds, Meds, and Tech, and that's where we are now. And then the hipsters started moving in, and the yuppies, and I mean, I wouldn't say we're so much. I mean, there's some parts of Pittsburgh which might be. Mini Williamsburg, mini Portland. There was an area that recently stood in for Brooklyn in the Seth Rogen movie American Pickle. The street right near my house was Brooklyn, quote unquote. And we found that so interesting that in episode 19, coming out in a couple of weeks, we did a scene that was basically a parody of an American Pickle, where we had our Jewish superheroine save a Seth Rogen lookalike from hipster thieves who stole his money from his pickle stand. So
wait a minute. So Pittsburgh is the stand-in, like Toronto is the stand-in for New York City, right? So then you guys are for Manhattan, and you guys are the stand-in for Brooklyn. Okay,
Brooklyn, yeah, for Brooklyn, that's right, and maybe in some instances maybe San Francisco too because of the hills, but mainly Brooklyn. Sure, yeah. A lot of it looks
you can't afford to shoot in any of those cities anymore. New York City or San Francisco, it's very, very expensive to do any kind of media.
Right, and even Vancouver, because of all the Canadian restrictions with the COVID and stuff.
Just another reason to stay home and read comic books, folks.
Yeah, there you
right?
Go. Oh no, the edge in Heroineburgh.
Yeah, well, yeah. Stay home, read comics. Go to your local comic shop. We support several here. Or film out in the street during the pandemic in spandex and capes. No pouches. We don't have pouches, just spandex and capes. We're from the 80s, and so can I hold forth on the 80s for a minute?
Sure, of course.
Okay, because Marvin is like 90s pouches. Yeah, excellent. So we're from the 80s and the 70s, and our stuff is highly influenced by 1970s. Remember the golden age of superhero shows, TV shows in the 70s? We grew up on all those.
Let me see. Hulk, Wonder Woman. How about Electro Woman and Dyna Girl?
ISIS Shazam Hour. Buck Rogers, Battlestar Galactica, Bionic Woman, the Red Sonja movie, all those things. And so as far as the comic book stuff goes, create the fun of reading George Perez's New Teen Titans, Dilates for Hero, John Byrne's She-Hulk, Love and Rockets, Bill Willingham's Elementals, a lot of DN Agents, Mark Evanier, right? We want to recreate the fun of all of those. And that was, spandex and capes. And of course, FemForce, which is still going to this day.
You're speaking my language, HB. Those are all books that are near and dear to my heart, and creators, and that vibe that you're trying to channel is coming through loud and clear, both on the shows that I've watched and in the comics. Yeah,
I would really want to, credit the fact that back in the 80s, late 70s, you could walk up to your local newsstand in Squirrel Hill and buy comics straight off the rack, open up a page of Dilates for Hero and realize that there were little kids and their average age was 11 to 13, sending in fully realized concepts, which then Carmine Infantino would draw for a couple pages in the book.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we realized, hey, you can create, you don't have to just be satisfied with Spider-Man. You can create your own heroines. And I sent in many to that publication, never got them published, although I got a letter published in Whisper #7 a couple years later, which is a first comics thing.
Yeah, I remember Whisper.
Right. But that heroine you see on the bottom left, Savannah, she was one of the first ones I created. I'd say back in 79, 80. You take a picture of Wonder Girl or Starfire and you trace over it. You make your own character, right? There it is. Of course.
Fantastic! I love it.
80s,
guys. 80s, there was something special about the comics then. As much as I read comics in the 90s, but it was sort of when I drifted away, went to college, I fell away when the rise of, after the initial rise of Image Comics, like anything after 93 or 4 just didn't register with me.
Yeah, we got distracted by college radio because around 89, I was like, I can't buy comics and records, all these vinyl records. I need to buy all these indie rock, weird experimental stuff. So yeah, I dropped buying comics, although I kept in touch with the scene and all the movies and all the names. I stopped getting comics for quite a while and then picked it up in the 2010s again. But so in some ways, the concept of Heroineburgh also arises from the Pittsburgh music scene. Some of the very first people involved in it, including myself, were members of bands, ladies who sang or played guitar, bass, drums. And some of the actresses are still in it to this day. In fact, the other day, Marvin and I did a video for a local band called Murder for Girls. It was the second video we did for them, and we shot it in the practice space. And the guitarist in the band is one of our major supervillainesses. So yeah, we're having lots of fun crossing over and using local bands in the soundtrack of the videos too.
HB, you weighed in on our show last week. You were in the comments of the show last week, and you said something about what was it, about Gail Simone and not supporting your work. You want to talk about that at all?
Wait, Gail Simone? I don't think I said that specifically.
Wasn't it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't like any of her recent stuff, but I have a lot of her older stuff.
No, it was something about you being yeah, maybe I have to go back and watch it. Maybe it was somebody else in the comments. Maybe I'm getting confused here.
No, I don't think it was me. I don't think I would do that.
It was something about somebody like refusing to read your comics or talk about your comics on Twitter. That's the only thing I remember it specifically from. I apologize. I don't have it in my notes.
No, it wasn't Gail. It definitely wasn't Gail Simone. We don't know her at all. Yeah, I'm not sure who it was, but
okay. Well, guys, I really enjoyed both your comics. I really appreciate you not only the efforts that you put in making these comics, because just to make a comic like The Edge or Heroineburgh is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
But then to do these other promotional efforts, Marvin, you've to do as much as you have done as essentially a one-man band is pretty. I'm very impressed by the amount of work that you put in here.
I mean, you got to put the work out there. You got to hustle your stuff. So it's not going to sell by itself.
Yeah, you got to.
That's right. Nobody else is going to do it for you, right?
Yeah.
And I that's the kind of hustle that I appreciate, because while the 90s superhero comics thing, this is not meant for me. This is what sometimes people get offended when I say, like, this is not meant for me, like, because not everything is meant for everybody, right? Like, there's an audience, there's a people who love this type of comic who are going to eat this up like candy because they loved all the same influences and things that you loved and loved this kind of storytelling. So I really appreciate you guys both taking the time to come in here and show it off. This is the kind of thing where both of these books we've come to this point where a person can make something that is at the same level as any of the big players in the comics industry. As far as the actual product, the actual comic itself, the limit is just your imagination and your time.
Right.
Sure, there are tons of indie books that look better than the big two stuff now. I mean, I earlier today I commented to the Pop XP guys, who I mod for, like, hey, here's a book that's about to launch. The art is so incredible, it looks better than anything DC or Marvel's doing now. As a recommendation, just a random recommendation, these things pop up now, and people are doing really, really good work, whether it's going direct to stores or crowdfunding them, either way. And it's all about hustling. And some of these people are, including ourselves, we're doing a lot of hustling.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, talent is what it is, right? Like, somebody can draw a great drawing or draw a great comic, but then to actually produce a physical comic involves so many minute decisions and things that people never even think about, like how it's trimmed and cut and spaced. It's just so many weird decisions that have to be put in, whether to put a price on the cover.
Yeah,
HB,
the bleed.
You got to make those decisions.
The bleed on the pages. Oh, yeah, tons of things. The CMYK.
And so that's a lot of skills. Sorry, Marvin. That's a lot of skill sets you guys all both had to wrangle.
Yeah,
and get your arms around to make it out. And now more than ever, though, the ability to get the final physical product that feels as good. Like, because I remember in the 80s, people would do indie comics. You get them and they'd be kind of crappy paper and kind of bad trim or whatever. But it was like, yeah, you did it. But
the black and white explosion,
But this is like, holy cow! This is as if it's the equivalent of you putting out a multi-million-dollar blockbuster movie, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're at the same level technically as the biggest names in the industry. I just think that's incredible.
Sure. And if you call up the stores and get them to take your book, they literally put you at the same eye level as those other books.
Yes.
And what better place to be at? What better place to be at, really?
It's amazing. Yeah, you guys are doing that kind of outreach.
Heroineburgh is next to Hulk. Is between Gamora and Hulk, or whatever, you know.
And what you discovered is the Edge could appear either in the E's or the T's. So
yeah, that's interesting phenomenon.
Awesome, guys. Okay, I got to get out of here. I got kids to feed and work to do, but I appreciate you coming in here and showing your hard work, because behind the whatever 20 minutes, half an hour maybe it takes, this is a denser than most comics these days, so it takes a little longer than your average Marvel comic to read, I think. But when you think about the countless hours you put in, not just drawing it, but producing it and doing it and everything else, good for you guys. Thanks very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Shukran.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys later. Stick around. We'll talk after if you've got time, and I'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, folks. There's still 4 of you sticking around watching live, but I think 2 of them might be the people that are actually on the show right now. That's okay. Most of the action happens after we stream live anyway. I appreciate. Wait, we're still in the $1 Million Comics Cam. All right, back to the neighborhood of make believe. Thank you for sticking around and watching this. Thanks for indulging the Pittsburgh analia that we jabbered on about today. That was a lot of fun for me as a Pittsburgh poser that I am. Stick around. We've got closing credits. Oh, we had our brand new debut of our brand new opening credits today. I worked really hard on those. So that was a lot of fun. Stick around. We got closing credits, and I got a very specially selected closing cameo for the end of today's credits. So stick around and check those credits out, and make sure you stick around for the cameo, and we will see you next time.